Hi everyone and welcome to Module 3. In Module 3 we're going to be focused on the role of utility and the price elasticity of demand. Now when we look at Module 3 you'll notice that we're going to be looking at how consumers make decisions, and that's the key component to this week, the role of consumers in decision making. So for this week you're going to be reading chapters 6 through 8. You're going to be focused on discussion board number 2, and you have quiz number 2. Now with quiz number 2, you have 25 questions, 2 attempts, and 60 minutes to complete it. On the discussion board, let's go through the requirements. On the discussion board, you need to make sure that you have an initial post of 3 to 4 paragraphs. In your initial post, you need to make sure to have an APA formatted in-text citation or reference to support your work, 2 peer responses. First post should be due by Thursday night, and all your remaining peer responses should be due by Saturday. The grading of your posts are 60 points for the initial post, 20 points for having your first post by Thursday, and 20 points each for your peer responses. Now for this week, we're going to be looking at the role of elasticity. So I'm going to do some various topics. When we look at elastic goods are very sensitive to price changes, whereas inelastic goods are very insensitive to price changes. So good examples of elastic goods are goods that consumers don't really necessarily need, like a luxury item. Now an inelastic good, these are goods that consumers do need. So when there is a price change, consumers will continue to buy them. And a good example of an inelastic good is, think of like gasoline. And an elastic good, think of luxury goods, or think of things like a product that has a lot of substitutes. When you look at the discussion board, it's going to be asking for your examples of elasticity. Make sure to focus on examples that you have purchased or haven't purchased, and make sure to really key in on those examples and relate it to the market characteristics. Let me show you where these characteristics are at that I want you to focus on. So these right here, substitutes, percent of budget, luxury versus necessity, and time. These are the determinants that will determine if the good's more inelastic or elastic. Now, when we look at chapter 7, we're looking at utility. Utility is looking at how consumers respond to changes in the prices of goods and services. So now, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Utility is looking at happiness in consumption of goods or services. When we look at utility, we're looking at how we measure where we should consume it. That's a very difficult question a lot of times. When we look at consumers, you'll notice that they're facing a lot of challenges, and they have to figure out the best place to consume it. One of the most important laws that we need to focus on is a law of diminishing marginal utility. This law is focused on the increase in consumption that we have, and the more we consume, we get less and less satisfaction. A very good example of this law is, think of like French fries. The more French fries I eat, each additional French fry I consume, I get less and less satisfaction from that French fry. And you can relate it to these two graphs right here. Here's your total utility. So the increase in the amount that I consume, you'll see that there's an increase in total utility. Now when you look at this increase in total utility, here is each unit that you consume. So I eat 1 slice of pizza, I get 10 units of satisfaction. I eat 2 slices, I get 18 total units of satisfaction, but I only get 8 units from that piece of pizza. So I get, if you look at it, from the first unit I get 10, the second I get 8. So that change from 10 to 8 is classified as the law of diminishing marginal utility. And in theory, I should stop consuming after the first unit, because that's where I get the highest amount of satisfaction from consumption. And we can relate this as in 2 graphs, and these graphs are always going to be, one is above each other. When we look at these 2 graphs, we're going to look at the role of total utility and marginal utility, and it will be the same thing that's illustrated in this table. So make sure to click on Module 3, look at some ancillary materials that I gave you, and if you have any questions, let me know, but I look forward to your effort.